So now let's go over to this picture over here underneath the beautiful Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which you so nicely vibrated. So this is the 6 Goswamis. They were disciples of Lord Chaitanya. And I sang the second verse of a prayer called the Shri Shri Shad Goswam Ashtaka. So my last lecture here in September, I spoke on verse number 1. So tonight, I got a text message from Krishna in the morning. Actually, it was yesterday. Krishna sent me a text message. Do verse number 2. So I'm just following Krishna's text messages. So this second prayer, Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipanau. These 6 Goswamis were given specific instructions by Lord Chaitanya. So one of the instructions he gave them, Lord Chaitanya told them very confidential teachings of spiritual transcendental knowledge. And many of the things Lord Chaitanya spoke were revolutionary, highly, you could say even controversial. So then Lord Chaitanya said, I have just given you the outline. I want you to go through all these Vedic scriptures and find the evidence of all these things I have taught. If you study the Chaitanya, how many people have read the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Very good. So you'll see, if you look carefully, whenever Lord Chaitanya was instructing, he would make a statement and then immediately give the evidence from the Vedas. That's what we call solid preaching. Just like a lawyer, when he's making his case, he'll quote law, he'll quote from previous instances in order to corroborate his statements. That makes his argument very solid. So Lord Chaitanya was the same way. He would say something and then immediately give the reference from the Vedic literatures, because the Vedic library is very vast. You have 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas, the Mahabharata, the Vedanta Sutra, and other corollary, itihasas, histories. So we have a huge library of transcendental knowledge. So it says here, Nana Shastra Vicharana. They studied the Vedic scriptures very, very carefully. They were actually studying it. The word used here, scrutinize, means look very, very carefully. Eka Nipunau, and they were, Prabhupada translates, uniquely expert. These 6 Goswamis, they were not some lightweight, they were big, very qualified personalities, very learned, very expert. But this next part, Sat Dharma Sangstapakau, what was their intention? Was it just a scholarly pursuit? Was it just to show off how brilliant they were? No, there was purpose behind it. The purpose was Sat Dharma Sangstapakau. The reason Lord Chaitanya told them to study the Vedic scriptures was to establish religious principles that would be applicable for all times, places, situations, time, place, and eternal. Eternal. Just like Some people, they confuse our movement with just another Hindu religion. We say no. First of all, the word Hindu does not appear in the Vedic scriptures. It's a foreign word that was put on the people of India. So we don't identify with this word Hindu. No. The actual term, especially the philosophy as taught by Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, Sanatan Dharma. That's the actual term. Sanatan, eternal. What does that mean? Always was, is now, and will forever be truth. That's the meaning of Sanatan. I explained to those Catholic high school kids that I remember when I was 7, 8 years old in Our Lady of Loretto Catholic School, my blue uniform and white shirt and blue tie. And the first class every morning was catechism. And we had this book, a blue book, the Baltimore Catechism. And I remember that first grade, how they defined God. God always existed. But then, when I discovered Bhagavad Gita, you learn that you also always existed. Isn't that great? You always existed. Not this you that you see in the mirror. And we're not talking about that you. And trust me, when you get to my age, you're going to be glad. Oh, what I see in the mirror, that's not me. Oh, thank God. Yes. No, we're talking about the you that's inside the car. Bhagavad Gita explains this is like a car. Some of us have Rolls-Royce cars, bodies. Some have Hyundai bodies. Not all the bodies are the same. But does it matter, because you're not your body. You're not your mind. You're the soul. And you always existed. And you will forever exist individually, just like God. If you can appreciate that, if you can accept that, that is considered the first level of self-realization. That I always existed, as I exist now, and I will continue to exist. So I always like to make a joke. Get used to yourself, because you're not going anywhere. Get to learn to like yourself. If you don't like what you see in the mirror, change it. Become a better person. That's one reason why we do the things we do. That's why we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. There's hundreds of reasons why we chant. That's one. To change that person. Make them better. We're a work in progress. That's what we are. We're a work in progress. All of us. We're on this path of self-improvement. And how? Simply by chanting this Mahamantra. So the 6 Goswamis studied all the Vedic scriptures with the purpose of establishing eternal religious principles, which are good for everyone. Everyone. for all times, places. That is this movement. That is why I stay with this movement. Because it's dealing with, you've heard this expression so often now, fake news. Krishna consciousness is real news, real truth. It's eternal principles. As it says here, Lokanam Hitakarinao. These 6 Goswamis, they wanted to do benefit for all people. They were not misers. You can find nowadays many successful people, but they're only interested in themselves or their small circle of friends. We call them misers. But these 6 Goswamis were very liberal. Liberal in the sense that they were concerned for everyone. They wanted to give these eternal teachings so that everyone could take benefit. Therefore, the next word in the song, Manyao. Such personalities as the 6 Goswamis, they are honorable because of that. They are worthy of honor and praise because of that liberal mentality. That they were not just concerned with themselves. That was actually the mood of the Panchatattva. They had a treasure. That treasure was known as love of God. But what did these Panchatattva do? They plundered the storehouse and gave it away. That's what they did. They had a treasure house of love of God, and what did they do? Give it to everyone. They just gave it out. Now here's the thing. On the material platform, say it's the Christmas time, right? People are feeling generous, right? So you'll spend some money on gifts, or maybe you'll make a charitable donation. It's the season, right? So you have a bank balance and your funds are limited. So let's say you are feeling charitable, so you give $1,000. All right, your account now is less $1,000 because you've given it away. But when it comes to spiritual life, if you give, say, $1,000 of your own spiritual account, at the end of the day, your account is now doubled. That's spiritual bank account. You give and you get back. That's what the Panchatattva did. They gave everything they could to the fallen conditioned souls because they knew we will get a great return on our investment. If you understand this principle, then you will become very eager to become a giver of Krishna consciousness. If you understand this principle, then yes, let me give whatever I have. Let me give it to others. That is the mood of Krishna consciousness. I must give whatever I have. And Prabhupada, we asked Prabhupada so many times, Prabhupada, we're so grateful for what you have done for us. How can we repay you? And Prabhupada said, simply give to others what I have given you. That's why I'm sitting here today. That's why I do what I do. I am convinced of this fact, that if I give out the jewels of love of Godhead, if I give out transcendental knowledge, at the end of the day, my account is replenished. These days, I am personally seeing how that is true. Krishna is giving me more and more opportunities, and for some reason, I keep telling my wife, I have the golden touch. Things are just wonderfully manifesting. After so many years, Krishna is finally blessing. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you. So the mood of the six Goswamis, the mood of the Panchatattva, and the mood of this movement is to give it out. We're not just concerned with our own spiritual life. Somehow or other, I must give it to others. If in the least, all you have to do is say, Hari Bol to somebody. Just say to somebody, Hare Krishna. You've given. Or there's a program here where you can get books and give them out. Yes, these books make great Christmas presents. Yes. You can even give them to your enemies. When I was a young devotee in New York, and I would have to go to the Port Authority, or sometimes you would meet people. I don't want anything to do with your books. Go away. I would say, no. I say, so you don't like God? No, I don't like God. I say, great. Take this book, read chapter 16, and learn how to become the biggest rascal demon. We have that chapter 16 in the Bhagavad Gita. Everything is there. Everything is there. So it says in this verse, Sharanyakaro, because these six Goswamis were so merciful and so liberal in their consciousness, they are worth taking shelter of. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's ultimate instruction, my dear Arjuna, you should take shelter of me. You should surrender to me. But the science is that it's easier actually to take shelter of a devotee of Krishna. That's even easier and more tangible. So here in this movement we have our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. So everyone who joins this movement ultimately takes shelter of Srila Prabhupada through his books, through his followers. If you and I, if we become faithful followers of Srila Prabhupada, the six Goswamis, Lord Chaitanya, we also become worthy of someone to take shelter of. Just like parents. If the parents are proper, if the parents are pious, then the children benefit by taking shelter of the parents. In all of my years, my friend over here can testify. For so many years, didn't I always tell you, obey your parents? Didn't I? Yes. And they would always say, oh, we like this Nirantara. He's a good preacher. Yes. Has it benefited you? Yes. Because when the parents are devotees, they also become worthy to take shelter of. Husband and wife the same way. The ideal marriage, the wife takes shelter of the husband and the husband takes shelter of the wife. It's not a one-way street. The wife has a responsibility to protect the husband from Maya. She's laughing. Either you laugh because you like it or some other reason. Should take shelter. Obey. I have another lecture I do once in a while. Happy wife means happy life, but that's not for tonight. That's on request only. But the idea is there. The husband and wife have to be of such stature that they are worth taking shelter of. The husband has to be representative of God. The wife also has to be representative of goddess of fortune. Then they are worth taking shelter of each other. And the children, they take shelter. We are meant to take shelter. This material existence is so stringent. Unfortunately, you are not in good hands with Allstate. That can only go so far. I like to make a joke these days. Krishna knows a thing or two because he's seen a thing or two. We take shelter of Krishna. So we should be that person in our daily lives, someone that we are worth taking shelter of. Why? Because we are representatives of God. That's what my wife says to me so many times. When I start to wander off the path, she'll give me a slap saying, "What are you doing? You're representing Srila Prabhupada. You can't act like that." So we are supposed to be like that. Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajanandandena Mataliko. So these 6 Goswamis, what makes them so special? What makes them so special is that they had a particular mood of spiritual life. Their mood of spiritual life was the same mood as Krishna. Here we see the picture of Radha, Krishna, and the gopis. So they had that same mood. So let's study now the mood of the gopis. Lord Chaitanya has said, there is no better method of worshiping Krishna other than that conceived by the gopis. So what is that mood of the gopis? Here it is. The mood of the gopis is the highest standard of love of God. What is that mood? They had no personal desire. Their mood was, we will do anything. We will tolerate anything. We are prepared to do anything to satisfy Krishna. That's the mood of the gopis. There's a famous story, I always like to speak it. So one time, Krishna told Narada Muni, I have a headache. He didn't have a headache, but he just said, Narada, there are some brahmanas. Go tell them that I have a headache. And tell them the only thing that will relieve my headache is the dust of their feet. So Narada went to the Brahmins and said, oh, my dear Brahmanas, you know right now Krishna has a headache. and the only thing that will relieve him is the dust of your feet. And the Brahmins became very angry. Narada, what are you saying? Don't you know that if we give God the dust of our feet, we will go to hell? What? Are you an imposter? No, you cannot ask us this. Go away. So then Narada went back to Krishna. He gave his report. He said, just see. So then Krishna told Narada, say the same thing to my gopis in Vrindavan. Let's see what they say. So Narada went to Vrindavan and he explained to the gopis, your Krishna has a headache, and the only thing that will relieve it is the dust of your feet. The gopis said, what? Krishna has a headache? Okay, take as much as you want. And Narada said, but don't you know you're going to go to hell? And the gopis said, we don't care. Let us go to hell. If the dust of our feet is the only thing that will relieve Krishna's headache, we are prepared to go to hell. That is the mood of the gopis. They have no self-consideration. Prabhupada once explained to us, his disciples, this concept of unalloyed love is very difficult to comprehend. The closest thing to understand it on the material plane is the mother's love for the child. Mothers, you can appreciate. You've already, all of you mothers, you have been in situations where at your own expense, you did something for the benefit of your child. Am I correct? You have gone through it. I've seen it in my life too. The love the mother has for the child, inexplicable. She'll do anything. So that's the closest thing we can come to appreciate. So the mood of the gopis that these 6 Goswamis imbibed, they were willing to do anything, no reservations, to satisfy Krishna. And because they had that mood, this word mata alikau, they were intoxicated with love of God. Not this cheap toxic poison. These material intoxicants, they're poison. They kill you. But this is spiritual intoxication. Rather than killing you, it invigorates you. Look, see how their hands are in the air. They're invigorated with this intoxication of love of God. This is what we are trying to develop. The ultimate purpose of religion. What is the ultimate goal of religion? Some people, like there's this kind of religion now that's preached. It's called prosperity religion. It's out there. Very attractive. They preach, you come and you worship God and you will become materially prosperous. In fact, they preach that if you're not materially prosperous, then you're not worshiping God properly. That is their philosophy. It's also espoused by a political leader, which I won't name. He subscribes to this nonsense. So that is completely materialistic. That I worship God because I will become materially satisfied. That's not the goal of religion. That is not what Lord Chaitanya says. Lord Chaitanya said that there are 4 principles: dharma, religion; artha, economic development; kama, sense gratification; moksha, liberation. These are the 4 purusha arthas, goals of human life on the material platform. But Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is on the spiritual platform, and therefore he says there's a 5th goal: love of God. That is what Lord Chaitanya's philosophy is teaching: love of God. Yes, just like I already explained the 5 different relationships. So, you love your children. Imagine now, one day, loving Krishna in that same mood. That's what we should meditate on. Here you see the gopis with Radha and Krishna. Does it not look like a beautiful scene? I don't think there's anywhere in the United States where you'll find this scene. Not even Hawaii compares to that picture. Prabhupada once said, there's no enjoyment in the material world, but if there is, it's in Hawaii. He said that. So you can go there.